Hey everyone, good to have you.
Hey, good to have you. Hello.
Good to be here.
Yeah, well, if you haven't joined us for one of these before, we're going to try something a wee bit different today if it all works with
Come
technology.
on.
So we will see, but
Yeah.
we thought we'd mix it up a bit.
Yeah, so we have been obviously chatting a little bit with you over the last number of weeks, but we are friends with and journeying life with a number of really inspiring people who maybe on the surface seem kind of ordinary like us, but they just have journeyed some extraordinary things and they just carry something extraordinary, and we wanted to chat with them and just specifically talk a little bit about some of the things that we've noticed as they've had to journey things, and I know you'll love it. I know it'll be really inspiring.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. Let's see how
Yeah.
this works. So, we want to
Okay.
introduce you to somebody from our Foyle Vineyard family called Dawn Collins.
Woo-hoo.
Many of you know her and love her, and she is a true hero. And
Absolutely.
just as Ben said, we were thinking that actually, do you know what? There's a lot of people that you may think are normal, but actually, there's something just extraordinary on their lives.
Yeah.
So, with that introduction,
Yeah,
let's
let's
pass
see if
over
we
and
can
see if we
find.
connect to Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn,
Hi, Dawn.
you there?
Thank you. One, two, one, two.
Great, we can hear you, Dawn. That's great.
Yeah,
Good to
good to
have you
have
with
you.
us. Yeah, brilliant. So, Dawn, we've obviously known you for a while, and we know who you are. We know what you have journeyed, but many people don't know you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what you've been journeying.
I'm Dawn, and I'm the right side of 60, which means I'm 59. And I was married to Rob. I'm married to him 37 years, but he got out at 35 years. And maybe that's a wee bit trivial, trite, but I was married to Rob for a long time. And Rob had MS. He was diagnosed with MS when our wee boy was only a year old. And he kept really, really well right up to probably the last 10 years. And then his health just gradually started to go downhill, just very gradually. And it was all very manageable. It was all right. It was just mildly inconvenient, for want of a better way of putting it. But then about 5 years ago, it really started to go downhill. He was in and out of hospital with pneumonia, and he had heart problems. They had all sorts of wee bits and bobs going on, as well as 2 hip replacements. And then in 2016, within a period of a few weeks, he went from what I say walking, talking, and eating to being in a coma to being nearly dead. And when he came out of the coma, he was a totally, totally different physical condition and mental condition. God, I just can't help but say that God was really, really good to him, in so much as Rob was badly disabled. He could move his hands a wee tiny bit and he could talk a wee tiny bit, but had very, very little independent speech. But he thought he was normal, and he thought he was just the way he'd always been. And hard as it was, that's what the way we lived life. Rob went into hospital in 2016 and never come home again. And he was in hospital right up until he died. So, and it's been difficult and sad and lonely and challenging, really challenging.
Yeah, because ever since we've known you, really, that's been your story, and it's not just been like one straight road. It's been lots of challenges and curves along the way.
I never knew what a day would bring once Rob went into hospital. I didn't know what I was going to see until I turned the corner into his room. And there was many a day I went in and took it on the chin and dealt with it and come out and broke my heart crying. And to be honest, there was many a day I didn't even have prayers. I couldn't have prayed. But I really knew that God had me.
I'm sure that was so challenging. Dawn, tell us more about that. How did God move even in that season? How did you encounter Him during all that?
I, I'm a very practical, a very realistic person. And a lot of I cope with things is by thinking it through and doing a lot of what ifs. And I had some really, really difficult decisions to make. and some very difficult conversations they have with doctors and with family. And God just really, really gave me strength. And a lot of it wasn't "Thus saith the Lord," booming voices. A lot of it was just deep breaths and knowing that He was with me. The wee small things in life that God spoke through. And your Annabelle, several times God said, not once, but at least twice, God spoke through Annabelle. God speaks through in a very simple, uncomplicated way of exactly where you need to hear. It's like one of those automatic downloads He gives you, and it just hits the mark.
Yeah,
So good, Don.
really good.
Just before Rob died in August, and just before Rob died, your Annabelle had been praying. And can I read? I have it framed because it's so precious. And I'll just read a wee tiny bit, and it says, "To Dawn, I was praying for Rob last night, and God told me he'll be okay with me. And I will be with you every second, even if Rob isn't." And that's just so precious.
Yeah, I really love that. I love how God just uses someone else to speak something really timely into our lives. It's such encouragement.
And then I was thinking, you hear all these cliches, and you hear stuff that's just cliches. But when the rubber hits the road, it's the wee small things that God whispers to you and just gives you the strength and the energy to keep going. That's what matters. That's what matters.
Yeah, so we've got to watch that firsthand, which has just been really beautiful. Like, there's certain journeys, it's not just like an easy road. It's like climbing a mountain, and there's lots of different curves and hills to that, and it requires just a certain level of strength and depth of faith. And you've just really modeled that, and we've been able to see that firsthand. It's been really, really, really beautiful. And there's lots of people in our city and beyond that are having to face challenges or pain, and it seems overwhelming or insurmountable, a little bit like that. What would you say to them in this moment? Like, what would you speak into their lives at this time?
Say, you truly believe you are never alone. And although God may not be there with the big booming voice, I've always sensed that God was with me, and He was just as sad as I was at seeing some of the things that I had to see and say some of the things I had to say. And He was with me, and because He cares for me, He was just as brokenhearted as I was brokenhearted about what was happening, Rob. And I just say to people, you are never, ever alone. And you may not always feel that God's there, but somewhere along the line, you just have to decide and believe God is there and He loves you. And this week, what I've been remembering is that if you ask for bread, He won't give you a stone,
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so we've
That's
just,
good,
it is really good. I mean, we've just been really constantly encouraged and impressed with just how you've journeyed such a difficult thing, and we've just seen a little bit of that and watched that, and it's just been so inspiring to us. And how you've never closed yourself into your story or got stuck in your pain. You've always, through it all, been outward and looked for ways to be generous towards someone else or to care for something. I mean, there's times you're looking after us, and there's all this stuff going on, and it's been incredible to watch. I think your story, who you are, and your depth is just really inspiring, isn't it?
A dairy beamer now.
I love it.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Dawn, for giving us your time and just being so honest and sharing your story. And really glad that you could do that, and we got the privilege of being able to talk to you about it.
Yeah, so we absolutely loved getting to watch everything that she carries, and I hope today that you find that inspiring too, just hearing about her story. But more than that, I hope that you realise that yes, we all feel a bit ordinary sometimes, but there's a lot of extraordinary stuff going on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of extraordinary stuff that people carry, and you're made to be extraordinary.
Yeah.
And so we want to honour you and celebrate you today, and I hope you feel encouraged and inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
All right. Great. Well, glad you could be with us. We're missing you. Good to have you. Go and live your extraordinary life. And
Yeah,
we'll see
that's
you
a
soon.
challenge.
Brilliant.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.